Roman Reigns breaks his silence on Solo Sikoa's brutal table-shattering attack on Jacob Fatu, and what he said will send shockwaves through the entire WWE Universe. But here's what nobody saw coming. This isn't just about revenge. This is about the complete destruction of everything the Bloodline has built over the past 4 years. Picture this. You're watching what you think is just another Friday night Smackdown, but suddenly you witness a moment that changes everything. Jacob Fatu, the Samoan werewolf himself, lying motionless in a pile of splintered wood and twisted metal after the most vicious shield bomb we've ever seen. The arena falls silent. Even the most hardcore fans are stunned into disbelief. This wasn't just an attack, this was a statement. And then, just when you think the chaos couldn't get any worse, Roman Reigns emerges from his silence with words so chilling, so loaded with threat and promise, that they've ignited a firestorm that could tear the most dominant faction in WWE history apart at the seams. What does this mean for Solo's rebellion? Here's the thing most people don't realize, Solo isn't just acting out of anger or jealousy. He's calculated every move, every alliance, every betrayal. With Tala Tonga standing 6 feet 8 inches behind him like a mountain of destruction, Solo has built something that could actually challenge Roman's throne. But challenging the tribal chief comes with consequences that Solo might not be prepared for. Where does Jacob Fatu stand in this family war? This is where things get really interesting. Jacob isn't just another victim in this saga, he's the key that could unlock everything. His next decision could either restore the Bloodline to its former glory or shatter it into pieces so small they can never be put back together. And Tala Tonga, Solo's new enforcer, how does he fit into this chaos? Most fans see him as just another big man, but they're missing the bigger picture. His loyalty could shift the entire balance of power in this family feud. One wrong move, one moment of doubt, and everything Solo has built could come crashing down. We're about to peel back every layer of this saga in a massive deep dive that will reveal secrets, analyze every move, and predict what's coming next. You'll discover why Roman's response wasn't just a promo, it was a declaration of war. You'll see how Solo's attack on Jacob was actually a masterstroke of psychological warfare. And you'll understand why this feud isn't just about championships or main event spots, it's about legacy, family honor, and the very soul of the Anoa'i dynasty. So grab your gear, because we're about to dive into the heart of WWE's most gripping family feud. But first, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. This story is about to get wild, and by the end of this video, you'll understand why this could be the greatest wrestling storyline of the decade. Let me paint you the complete picture of what went down on Friday Night SmackDown, July 4th, 2025, because what you saw on TV was just the tip of the iceberg. The atmosphere in that sold-out arena was electric, but there was something different in the air that night. You could feel the tension the moment the first wrestler's music hit. This wasn't just another tag team match. This was a powder keg waiting to explode, and everyone in that building knew it. Solo Sikoa and JC Mateo versus Jacob Fatu and Jimmy USO. On paper, it looked like a standard tag team contest. But here's what the casual fans missed. Every single move, every tag, every near fall was loaded with 4 years of family drama, betrayal, and simmering resentment. The match started with Solo and Jimmy circling each other like two alpha wolves establishing dominance. When Solo struck first with that vicious clothesline, it wasn't just a wrestling move, it was a statement. He was telling Jimmy, telling Jacob, telling the entire WWE Universe that he was done playing second fiddle to anyone. But Jimmy USO didn't become a multiple-time tag team champion by backing down from bullies. That lightning-fast superkick that dropped Solo wasn't just retaliation, it was Jimmy proving that the original Bloodline still had fight left in them. The crowd's reaction told the whole story. They weren't just watching a match, they were witnessing a family tearing itself apart. The early portion of the match was a masterclass in storytelling. Solo and JC's quick tags and isolation tactics weren't random, They were systematic. They were trying to break Jimmy's spirit before Jacob could get involved. That double suplex that shook the ring? That was Solo showing everyone that he had the power and the allies to dominate this family feud. But then came the moment that changed everything, Jacob Fatu's hot tag. When the Samoan werewolf stormed into that ring, it was like watching a force of nature unleashed. That Samoan drop on JC didn't just echo through the arena, it sent a message that reverberated through the entire wrestling world. Jacob wasn't just participating in this match, he was announcing his arrival as a legitimate threat to Solo's plans. The headbutt that followed was so fierce it could crack concrete, and you could see in Solo's eyes that he realized he might have underestimated his cousin. The pace accelerated from there, with Jacob's moonsault nearly ending the match before Solo's desperate save. This wasn't just athletic competition anymore, this was survival. When the action spilled outside, with Jimmy and JC brawling through the barricades while Jacob and Solo traded bombs in the ring, it became pure anarchy. The fans were eating it up because they could sense they were witnessing something special, a match that would be talked about for years. The climax was a whirlwind of emotion and athleticism. Jacob's counter of Solo's Samoan spike with that pop-up powerbomb was poetry in motion, but it was Jimmy's top rope USO splash that sealed the victory. For a brief, shining moment, it looked like the original Bloodline had reclaimed their dominance. But that joy was about to turn into a nightmare that would change everything. What happened after that final bell rang will haunt the WWE Universe for years to come, and here's why it was so much more devastating than anyone initially realized. Jacob Fatu and Jimmy USO were basking in their victory, soaking in the crowd's adulation as Fatu. Fatu! Chants echoed through the arena. For those precious few seconds, it felt like the natural order had been restored. The original Bloodline had proven they could still dominate, and Jacob had established himself as a force to be reckoned with. But Solo Sikoa's face told a different story. The rage twisting his features wasn't just anger at losing a match, it was the fury of a man whose entire identity had been challenged. When he grabbed that microphone, you could see the wheels turning in his head. This wasn't going to be just another post-match promo. This was going to be a declaration of war. The arena darkening was the first sign that something sinister was about to unfold. When Tala Tonga's massive frame emerged from the back, all 6 feet 8 inches of him moving with surprising speed for someone his size, the crowd's cheers turned to boos. They could sense what was coming, but they were powerless to stop it. Tongaloa's appearance alongside Tala Tonga wasn't just backup, it was overkill. Solo had orchestrated this moment perfectly, ensuring that no matter how hard Jacob and Jimmy fought, they would be overwhelmed by sheer numbers. This wasn't a spontaneous attack born of frustration, this was a calculated assault designed to send a message to everyone watching. Jimmy's attempt to fight back was valiant but futile. When JC and Tongaloa swarmed him at ringside, beating him down while the referee was distracted, it showed just how thoroughly Solo had planned this assault. Every detail had been considered, every contingency accounted for. Jacob's superkick on Tala Tonga was a moment of pure defiance, the Samoan werewolf refusing to go down without a fight. But when Solo joined the fray, the numbers game became insurmountable. 3-on-1 odds would challenge even the most skilled wrestler, and Jacob, despite his incredible abilities, was only human. Then came the moment that defines this entire saga, the shield bomb through the table. This wasn't just a wrestling move, it was a symbolic execution. Solo, Tala Tonga, and JC hoisting Jacob up in perfect synchronization, then driving him through that table with a sickening crash that seemed to echo for eternity. The crowd's reaction told the whole story. That initial gasp of shock, followed by thunderous boos, wasn't just disapproval of Solo's actions, it was the sound of fans realizing they had witnessed something that crossed the line from entertainment into genuine brutality. Solo standing over Jacob's wreckage, smirking like a man possessed, was the image that burned itself into every viewer's memory. This wasn't the cocky smile of a heel getting heat, This was the satisfied expression of someone who had just destroyed a family member to prove a point. The damage was done, but more importantly, the precedent was set. Solo had shown he was willing to go to any lengths to establish his dominance, and the WWE Universe was left reeling, wondering what he might do next. When Roman Reigns finally broke his silence on July 11, 2025, it wasn't just a promo, it was a seismic event that shifted the entire landscape of WWE. But here's what made his response so much more terrifying than anyone expected. The setup was perfect psychological warfare. Instead of storming to the ring in a fit of rage, Roman chose to appear on screen from his home, creating an intimate, personal atmosphere that made every word hit like a sledgehammer. This wasn't the tribal chief speaking from his throne in the arena. This was Roman Reigns, the man, speaking from his heart about family betrayal. Solo Sikoa, you have gone too far. Those 8 words, delivered with that low, menacing tone, carried the weight of 4 years of Bloodline history. But it was what came next that revealed the true depth of Roman's fury and the genuine threat he posed to Solo's rebellion. When Roman said, "Jacob Fatu is family. My blood," he wasn't just stating a fact, he was drawing a line in the sand that Solo had crossed. The emphasis on "my blood" was crucial because it established Roman's claim not just as a faction leader but as the head of the Anoa'i family dynasty. This wasn't about wrestling politics anymore, this was about family honor. The building intensity in Roman's voice as he continued was masterful. You think you can break him? You think you can break us? The repetition of "you think" wasn't just rhetorical, it was Roman systematically dismantling Solo's confidence, making him question every decision that led to this moment. But the real psychological warfare came with Roman's acknowledgement of Solo's crew. "You've got your little crew. JC Mateo, Tongaloa, Tala Tonga. You think that makes you the chief?" By calling them a little crew, Roman wasn't just dismissing their threat, he was diminishing their importance in Solo's mind, planting seeds of doubt about their loyalty and effectiveness. The declaration "you are nothing without the bloodline, and I am still the head of the table" was devastating because it struck at the core of Solo's identity. Everything Solo had accomplished, every championship he'd won, every moment of glory, Roman was attributing it all to the bloodline's influence, essentially calling Solo's individual achievements meaningless. The crescendo came with Roman's promise, "You crossed a line, Solo, and I am coming for you." This wasn't a threat about a future match or storyline development, this was a personal vow of retribution that transcended the boundaries between character and reality. What made this response so earth-shattering wasn't just the words Roman spoke, but the way he delivered them. The controlled fury, the personal pain, the absolute certainty in his voice, it all combined to create a moment that felt genuinely dangerous. Viewers weren't just watching a wrestling promo, they were witnessing a family patriarch declaring war on a rebellious son. The impact was immediate and lasting. Backstage, Solo's confident smirk faltered, replaced by something that looked suspiciously like fear. The WWE Universe erupted because they recognized they had just witnessed something special, a promo that would be remembered and quoted for years to come. This wasn't just Roman Reigns returning to television, this was the tribal chief reclaiming his throne through sheer force of will and the power of his words. To truly understand the magnitude of this bloodline civil war, we need to dive deep into the psychology and motivations of each key player, because what's driving them goes far beyond simple wrestling storylines. Solo Sikoa's rebellion isn't just about wanting to be the leader, it's about a fundamental identity crisis that's been building for years. Think about it, Solo spent years being Roman's enforcer, Roman's cousin, Roman's backup. Every introduction, every victory, every moment of glory was filtered through his relationship to the tribal chief. That kind of psychological suppression creates a pressure cooker effect, and what we're seeing now is the explosion. Solo's alliance with Tala Tonga, Tongaloa, and JC Mateo isn't random, it's strategic. He's building a power structure where he's unquestionably at the top, surrounding himself with people who owe their positions entirely to him. Tala Tonga's imposing 6 feet 8 inches frame isn't just muscle, it's a visual representation of Solo's newfound power. When fans see Tala Tonga standing behind Solo, they're seeing Solo's answer to Roman's natural charisma and authority. The United States Championship adds another layer to Solo's claim. It's not just a prop, it's validation that he can succeed without Roman's shadow. Every successful title defense is Solo proving to himself and the world that he doesn't need the Bloodline's legacy to be a champion. Roman Reigns, on the other hand, is fighting for something much deeper than just faction leadership. He's fighting for the preservation of a legacy that extends far beyond WWE. The Anoa'i family has produced legends like Rikishi, Yokozuna, and The Rock. When Roman calls himself the head of the table, he's not just talking about a wrestling stable, he's talking about being the patriarch of a wrestling dynasty that spans generations. Roman's silence before his explosive return wasn't weakness, it was calculation. He was watching, analyzing, waiting for the perfect moment to strike back. His response to Solo's attack on Jacob wasn't just emotional, it was strategic. By positioning himself as the protector of family honor, Roman is forcing Solo to fight on Roman's terms, where family loyalty and respect matter more than individual ambition. Jacob Fatu represents the most dangerous variable in this equation because his motivations are the most complex. He's not just caught between Roman and Solo, he's trying to establish his own identity in a family where everyone has predetermined roles. The Samoan werewolf persona isn't just a character, it's Jacob's way of differentiating himself from his cousins while still honoring his heritage. Jacob's incredible in-ring ability makes him a legitimate threat to both Roman and Solo's plans. He doesn't need either of them to be successful, which gives him a freedom that terrifies both faction leaders. His decision about which side to support, or whether to support either side, could determine the entire outcome of this civil war. Tala Tonga's role as Solo's enforcer puts him in a unique position of power. His loyalty isn't based on family ties like the others, it's based on opportunity and respect. This makes him potentially the most dangerous player because his allegiance could shift if he determines that Solo's rebellion is doomed to fail. The psychological warfare between these players is just as important as any physical confrontation, and understanding their motivations is key to predicting how this saga will unfold.